And we are back with American Football News Pro Edition NFL. That's right, NFL. And we welcome you to our weekly show where we give you updates, news, and predictions for pro and college football for this 2018-2019 season. If you are following the NFL, we just completed Week 9 and are moving on to Week 10, and we will recap Week 9 for you here in a moment. We kicked off Week 9 last Thursday with a game between two teams that don't deserve to play one another, and somebody had to win, even though they both only have one win on the year. The San Francisco 49ers took on the Oakland Raiders. This more of a area thing, the Battle of the Bay, as it were. The Oakland Raiders getting ready to move to Las Vegas, and this no longer going to become a high-profile matchup. However, it barely lived up to any sort of expectations. The 49ers playing a rookie quarterback, or a new quarterback again, and he absolutely took off against John Gruden's terrible Raiders, who couldn't buy a win even if they wanted to at this point in time. San Francisco wins easily 34-3. Another blowout game that wasn't surprising at all. Another team just as bad as the San Francisco 49ers and Oakland Raiders. The Buffalo Bills had to actually play a game, this time against the Chicago Bears, who are sort of an upstart surprise team. Nobody really thought Trubisky would do anything too surprising with them. However, they're a top candidate to maybe win the NFC North or maybe snag that potential wild card spot. And they laid it on the Bills this weekend, not holding back at all. Final score in that matchup, Chicago 41, Buffalo 9. If we're talking about teams that have failed to make the grade, the Browns have to be in there. They have nowhere to go, but up, considering they didn't win a single game the previous season. So really anything that happens this year, so long as they have one win, is a huge improvement. And they do have a couple wins, but they should be sitting a lot better than they are. Losing a lot of games in overtime, losing close games at the last second, typical Cleveland Browns games. And when they took on the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend, they looked to kind of reassert themselves and put themselves back into that serious conversation of teams that are on their way back up. However, Patrick Mahomes and that red-hot Kansas City Chiefs team just wasn't going to comply this weekend. They laid it down on Cleveland and ended up winning 37-21. A snoozer of a game, the Miami Dolphins took on the New York Jets. Neither one of these teams very explosive, very high profile, or very marketable, but still very good teams nonetheless. Miami, one of the teams that has gotten a win over the New England Patriots, one of only two losses that the Patriots have on the year. The only other loss the Patriots have is, surprisingly, to the Detroit Lions, who made them look absolutely stupid in their Sunday night football matchup, but more on that later. The Jets, however, weren't able to put a whole lot together offensively. Neither was Miami, but able to put up a little bit more than the Jets. The Dolphins ended up winning this game 13-6. Speaking of the Detroit Lions, hopes were very high at the beginning of the year. Those were kind of dashed, and then they were raised again when they started winning and beating teams that they shouldn't have. And then they kind of took a step back last week and dashed those hopes again, and everybody was kind of hoping for a rebound this week against Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. However, the Lions did what the Lions do, and that is play down to their opponent, fall well short of any sort of expectations, and allow their quarterback to be beat up. Matthew Stafford was on his back most of the game. I believe the final sack total for that game was 10. And you can't win any football games that way. The Lions lose one easily to Minnesota, 24-9. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers continue their up-and-down season as well. Looks like they're sticking with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, but him being up and down, the team being up and down, they can't seem to get any sort of consistent play out of anybody at this point in time. Taking on Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers, who are playing very well and are not up and down, the Panthers were able to hold their own against a explosive Tampa Bay offense. Carolina holds on to win 42-28. A rivalry game took place in the NFL this past weekend. Relatively new, maybe about 10 years old, but a good one nonetheless. These teams have played to determine who wins the AFC North more often than not. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are on the up and up, took on the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. And the Ravens are always having a good defense, however, not good enough this time to stop Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and newest newcomer to the Killer Bees, even though he doesn't have a B in his name, James Conner, replacing Le'Veon Bell at running back, who has had a miraculous, great season, rushing for more yards, rushing for more touchdowns than Le'Veon Bell ever did, and the number 2 rushing running back in the league, behind Todd Gurley. So the Steelers playing really well right now. James Conner playing very well right now. Very, very pleased with what's going on in Pittsburgh. Steelers beat the Ravens 23-16. Another close game that took place this past weekend, the Houston Texans, another surprise team, came to play the Denver Broncos, and they play it close to the chest, folks. The Texans don't win in any spectacular fashion, but they have been winning more than they've been losing. And this time they added Denver to their list of victims. The Texans ended up pulling out a close one, 19-17. And if you were a fan of the Saints in 2009, 2010, you're probably a fan of the Saints now, especially with Drew Brees' career winding down. Although don't tell him that, because he certainly doesn't play like it. The New Orleans Saints took on the undefeated Los Angeles Rams this past weekend. LA playing very, very well, although they have had their struggles this past season, and won a very, very close game against Aaron Rodgers and company last Sunday. However, Drew Brees and the Saints are a much better team than Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, and proved it on Sunday. The final score at the end of this was 45-35, and the undefeateds in the NFL were no more. So if you're a 72 Miami Dolphins fan, you're breathing easy right now. Your team is still perfect. The Sunday night game, which was hyped up to the umpteenth level, featured 2 great quarterbacks, or GOATs, going at it. I hate to use that term. The Green Bay Packers playing the New England Patriots. Tom Brady against Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers of the old NFL, the old guard, the team that everybody loves and everybody wants to play for, playing the new guard, the New England Patriots, who have won more Super Bowls and appeared in more Super Bowls in the last 10 years than any other team in the NFL. This was supposed to be a monstrous, monumental, memorable battle, and it fell well short of that. Green Bay playing way down to their opponent, New England overpowering Green Bay, and at the end of this one, it wasn't even close. The Patriots ended up winning 31-17. And the NFL's Week 9 concluded last night with Monday Night Football with 2 teams, one that is sort of where it should be, the other one way underperforming. And in my opinion, will always underperform because the standards for them are so incredibly high that if they don't go undefeated or have a 2-loss season, then everybody whines and cries and says that it's lost. The Tennessee Titans went to Big D, even though they don't play in Dallas, to take on the Dallas Cowboys. And Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans came to play, and the Cowboys simply did not. Dak Prescott having a very difficult day, couldn't get anything going, couldn't maintain anything for very long, and in the end, it caught up to him. The Tennessee Titans ended up winning 28-14. We look ahead to Week 10, or this week, and a couple games are going to stand out more than others. However, we will give you the Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday night matchups for this particular week. Week 10 will kick off Thursday with a great matchup with 2 teams. This is going to be a good game. Thursday, November 8th, will feature the Carolina Panthers taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Carolina 6-2, Pittsburgh 5-2-1. You can catch this game on Fox or the NFL Network, and it is scheduled for 8:20 p.m. It is my opinion that this will be a very close, very competitive game. I have Pittsburgh coming out on top, but won't be surprised if the Carolina Panthers win a close one as well. Another good game to keep an eye on happens Sunday, November 11th, kickoff scheduled for 1 p.m., and will feature an NFC team against an AFC team. The New Orleans Saints, who are 7-1, will take on the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 5-3. Cincinnati, a little up and down this year, always plays well during the regular season, so you can't sleep on them. And if you're Drew Brees and the Saints, you're adding space between you and second place. So a win here would definitely help. Another game to keep your eye on, even though it on paper isn't very good, but should end up being fairly entertaining to watch. The Miami Dolphins will play the Green Bay Packers this Sunday. You can catch that game on CBS. That game's scheduled for Sunday, November 11th, kickoff at 4:25 p.m. The Dolphins 5-4, Green Bay 3-4-1. Both these teams have a lot to prove. Green Bay's trying to get back into that NFC championship picture, maybe even get a wild card berth. Same thing with Miami, who holds on to that early season victory over the New England Patriots. It's my prediction that Miami will win this game, but don't be surprised if the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers try to make a last-second run to win this thing. The Sunday Night Football matchup at the beginning of the year looked to be great. As it is now, it's two 50-50 teams playing one another. The Dallas Cowboys will play the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. That'll take place November 11th, kickoff scheduled for 8:20 p.m. You can catch this game on NBC. The Dallas Cowboys really underachieving at this point in time, as the Philadelphia Eagles are as well. However, the Eagles at this point in time last year weren't much better and jumped on a winning streak that just wouldn't stop. It might be looking that way again as the Eagles look to defend their crown. And again, I don't think the Cowboys have enough in them to defeat the Eagles. I think the Eagles should win this game fairly easily. The NFL Week 10 will conclude on Monday and will feature a 1-win team and a 2-win team. And this is a game that somebody has to win, although not necessarily, because in the NFL you can play to a tie. The New York Giants will take on the San Francisco 49ers Monday, November 12th. Kickoff scheduled for 8:15 p.m. You can catch this game on ESPN. Neither one of these teams playing very well. I don't think anybody really wants to watch this game except for the fact of Odell Beckham Jr. and Shaquan Barkley. Again, somebody has to win this game, and if I had to make a prediction, I got to say the 49ers will pick up their third win of the year. All right, well, that concludes our NFL American Football News portion of the episode. We thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. We are under American Football News. Look for the blue logo with a red football player on it. Click the subscribe button. Click yes for brand new episodes every week. You can also catch us on Twitter at News American, or we are on Spreaker.com. Look us up for American Football News. That's American Football News with a Z. All right, we thank you for taking the time to listen and look forward to this next week's games. Thank you and take care.